Right. Well, Duncan, we're here. Thank you for being with us today. We're back with Metropolitan.
Hi there. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. I want to, if for people who don't know who you are, because you've been leading an institution here in Barcelona that's extremely well known, very successful, very influential in your area. But in case people don't know about you, can you talk to us a little bit about Oxford House and do you call it TEFL or do you say the whole word out?
Yeah, TEFL, yeah. Yeah, it's a bit confusing. We have two brands. Oxford House is our language school in Barcelona, in Calle Diputación with Pau Clarice. Many of you have probably gone past there, quite near the centre of town, near Paseo de Gracia. We've been there in that premises 10 years now, but the school has been going for 25 years, which is what we're celebrating. And what we do at Oxford House is mainly teach people English and Spanish. Those are the two languages we teach there. And we also have Oxford TEFL, which is the teacher training part of our brand. And that's more international because that's for training teachers from all around the world to teach English and more recently Spanish as well. So we're training teachers to teach Spanish and to teach English. And that's the CELTA course we do, which is quite well known as the sort of first qualification for English teachers. We have the LA course for the Spanish teachers, and then we have various teacher development courses and an advanced qualification for English teachers called the Trinity Diploma. So that's kind of what we do, and that's what we've been doing for 25 years pretty much.
And what is the purpose of the TEFL course for people who don't understand what it is?
TEFL stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. Well, it's kind of evolved over the years, but basically it's an initial qualification. If you've ever had an English teacher around the world, probably that person has done a CELTA course or a TEFL course, which typically and traditionally was a 4-week, very super intensive boot camp course with lots of teaching practice to take people who were perhaps educated speakers of the language, native speakers of the language back in the day, to be able to go around, travel the world and teach English in some kind of way beyond just kind of putting their backpack on and getting off a plane and walking into a school. That has evolved now, and the profile of our trainees is much more mixed. A lot of the people don't come from the US or the UK. More than 50% now are people who are speakers of other languages who are now fluent in English and want to teach English. Again, there's a worldwide profile, but the backgrounds, the languages of the people doing the course is different.
Yeah, over the years, I've met a number of people who actually told me they had moved to Barcelona, at least temporarily, so they could receive your TEFL certification. And that's how I first learned about it, because I knew about Oxford House, but I didn't know what TEFL was. And being here in Barcelona, I knew a lot of people who had moved here and had started to teach English, but did not have any official certification. Some of them had been doing it for 20 years. So it's not as if they were just brand new at it. They just didn't have a recognized, acknowledged certification. And then when I heard about TEFL, I saw a lot of people coming, and it got to be really popular. And I think it really did improve the caliber of the teachers that were out there, trying to give tutorials. And as a matter of fact, actually, it was funny because I ran into the sister of a friend of mine from the United States who came here specifically to get the certification, and she fell in love with Barcelona and decided to stay. So it was an interesting thing. So how did Oxford House and the TEFL training get started?
Well, I was working here as I was a sort of director of studies in a language school in Barcelona back in the sort of early mid-90s. And I'd been working in London. I had some contacts there, and a friend of mine said, "Look, in my school, we're running these TEFL courses, but we think there will be demand for exactly what you just said, Victor. People want to come out to Barcelona and do the course and maybe other places. Prague is one as well, and we did actually open a centre there as well, because as your friend said, you could go there and then get a job there. So it was kind of fun, and you could test it out, and also you had 4 weeks in a fun city. The cost of living back in the day was lower than it would have been if they'd done the course in London or New York or somewhere like that. So I said, yeah, let's give it a go. And that's kind of how it started. Back in 95, we ran the first course in a school where I was working. And 3 years later, when we opened Oxford House, then obviously we took the course and started doing that ourselves.
Well, you have. I also wanted to take the time to say thank you because Oxford House has been very kind to Metropolitan over the years. I believe you guys were clients long before I acquired the company or we acquired the company. But
Yeah.
you had also been very kind to the American Society of Barcelona. We've done
Yeah,
events
absolutely.
on
We were.
taxes, etc.
That, in fact, you were with you guys.
Okay, I think.
Sorry, Victor, you're cutting out a bit. Yeah, can you say that again?
Yep. Yeah, sorry. You were saying. I want to say thank you for the certifications and
Try
the,
that.
the sharing the center with the American Society.
Yeah, that's right. We've done that, and in fact, we were with Metropolitan right from the start. Before the internet days, I think that was one of our main kind of routes of advertising to people in the city who were obviously expats, people who could read English and understand English, and that's where we were advertising our courses. Yes, and we have worked with the American Society as well.
Well, that is, the you're now turning 25. I want to start focusing on how you're celebrating and so forth. But yes, Metropolitan started in 1996, so it was
Wow.
very about the same time frame.
Yeah, exactly. Remember it well. I can't remember the names, but I remember some of your journalists now who sometimes they worked with us as well as teachers and worked with you as journalists. Yeah.
So, can you tell us how are you celebrating this 25th anniversary?
Well, the main event is happening actually this Saturday, only 2 days away. We're having a big party in the school because we've got a fantastic garden there. So we thought, well, let's take advantage of it. We've got some people to dress it up and make it look really nice. And we've invited all our current teachers and people from the past as well. So we're expecting some guests and ghosts from the past 25 years. And I've managed to get hold of one of the original founding sort of members and shareholders who invested some money in the project, teachers, directors of studies, people who worked in the early years as well. So it should be a lot of fun. We're going to have a big party in the school.
Is it by invitation only, or can anybody come to the party?
It is by invitation only. I'm afraid we're limited. We have a limited capacity. Have you got yourself a ticket?
Well, Francis said I could come, so I plan to attend.
Right. Okay. Well, apparently they're selling for about $500 on the black market. So, but don't be tempted. We know who you are.
And so, 25 years is a huge milestone. What do you think is some of the biggest challenges that you faced and successfully navigated? And what do you think some of the challenges are today or new challenges for you to take on?
Yeah. How long have you got? Big question. I mean, the landscape is constantly changing. It changed with COVID, as we know, things went online. So there's a question mark about, do people want to go to a place and be in a room and travel there to learn a language? Why wouldn't they just do it at home on Zoom or do it in the way we're having our interview now? I mean, look at this. I haven't come to your studio. I'm on so there's clearly stuff is changing, and that raises question marks. And more recently, as you're also probably aware, the advent of AI. So there's some kind of question about how that might affect language learning. Could artificial intelligence be a better teacher than you or me or a human being? So I think that's the kind of those are the sort of two exciting questions for the next 10 years or the next 25 years, maybe. Though I've got a feeling there'll be some more. Before we get to 50, there'll be some other questions as well that we don't even know.
And besides, say, AI and COVID, were there something early on in the life of Oxford House that you think is notable, or perhaps some of the hurdles that your original staff had to deal with?
God, I mean, it's like any business when you start, it's pretty hard. And I think somebody said 1 in 3 fail. But that was the day we opened, that was at the opening party. Someone's that you do realize only 1 in 3 new businesses succeed. In fact, they said. So I was like, oh, Christ. We did have a bit of a crisis after about 2 years. We ran out of cash. We'd had a bit of investment from some people I know, and we kind of ran out. And the original investors didn't want to put any more money in. It was mainly a cash flow thing, where companies have sort of contracted your services, but they haven't paid their bill. But we were kind of getting a bit desperate. And then one of the teachers there said, oh, actually, my granddad is quite wealthy. Maybe he can lend you the money. And lo, I said, "Who's your granddad?" He said, "Graham." I said, "Well, Graham who?" He said, "Oh, I don't know his surname. It's just called Graham, but he'll lend you the money." Anyway, we drew up a contract. He lent us a considerable amount for the time, and we said we'd pay him back with interest within a year, which fortunately we did. But he kind of saved our sorry asses, and that was a kind of financial challenge. Getting students into the school was obviously a big challenge as well, kind of competing with other schools and getting people interested.
So I knew you once you've had the center here, but where were you before that?
Before that, we've been in three places. Before that, we were in Girona with Consell de Cent, so not far away, but sort of 10 minutes further towards Tetuan. And before that, when we started in 98, we were in Diagonal with Girona. So in a kind of, just in a sort of 5-bedroom Instanche flat, basically. That's where we started.
I see.
With 2 bathrooms and a kitchen.
Well,
and a few classrooms as well.
Well, you've certainly grown and made a fantastic success of it all. What do you think are your biggest achievements?
Biggest achievements? Well, some people just say sort of staying there and being there. I mean, I think we've kind of created a brand that stands for good training and good teaching, quality teaching. We've never kind of compromised on that. We look after our teachers, we look after our students, and I think people recognize that, and that's what they love about us, and that's why teachers love it, and students want to be with us. We've worked on how you create a dynamic in the classroom that, going back to the idea of AI and robots and presential teaching, that really works and adds value to the language learning experience. So it's kind of a house, as the name suggests, Oxford House. It's not just a school, it's a place, a community. It's a thing people want to be part of. And you know what it's like when you're learning a language, it's hard enough as it is, and it's stressful and demoralizing. And you really need to have that feeling that people have got your back. And I think that's what we created.
Okay. Well, I've heard lots of good things over the years. So without knowing too much more about Oxford House, who is your ideal client? Are you looking for individual students or perhaps businesses? What works best for you guys?
Well, we've got all three things. I mean, the centre welcomes students for courses of all ages. Our kind of demographic it changes a lot. We've got a lot of teenagers now preparing for exams like the first certificate. We've got adults doing the same, or we have had in recent years. Increasingly, I mean, we started this about 10 years ago, people learning Spanish as well, the local community who want to learn Spanish, a lot of traveling people, young people, working people who, although they're in Barcelona, want to learn Spanish, as well as Catalan. So those are clients. We've also got company clients, as you mentioned there. So we do send teachers out to companies to teach English. We've also got school clients, so we send teachers out to schools to teach English, like after school classes to the kids there. So and we have individuals who come for private coaching as well, one-to-one. But the school is mainly set up for groups with classrooms, and you've got groups there of 6, 8, maybe 10 students is the very typical kind of thing. And teenagers, young adults, older adults as well, who just need to improve their English for different reasons.
Now, I was hoping you could, anecdotally, provide some more data around it. Over the last 25 years with the school, one of the things that seems to have, that's clear within Barcelona, is the demographic shift that non-Spaniards have taken up and become Barcelonians by choice, if you want to call it that. The level of English that we've seen at the American Society and here at Barcelona Metropolitan has exploded versus where over the last 10, 15 years. Can you put any numbers or is that a perspective that you also share?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't give you exact numbers, but I know now our most popular level would be what we call B2 or C1. In olden times, that was like upper intermediate or low advanced. So we're talking about someone who's pretty competent in most situations in English, who could have this conversation now with us fairly well, or at least follow it. When we started 25 years ago, the average level would have been sort of A2, B1. It's just, as you say, incredibly the difference it shifted. And you would, of course, we and all the schools are pretty concerned, because you think, well, if this continues, there's nobody left to learn English, and you do have to start inventing. But people want to go on, so they go to C2. They want to become absolutely fluent. They want to be able to travel in the world, work in the world. So there's still scope, and for not just being fluent in the language, but being able to communicate effectively. So this is where language training now starts to kind of merge a little bit with communication training. So a fluent speaker may want to work on their skills of presenting in a business context, or be able to do their PhD in English if they want to study internationally. So there's still scope for those high levels. But yeah, you're right. It's come on.
I've seen a lot more of people who speak English move into the city, so that dramatically increased the number of, I guess, native level speakers. But I've also seen a lot of the locals have upped their game. The caliber of the average Catalan and Spaniard, or at least within the circles in which I move, I see a dramatic difference in the Catalans being able to articulate themselves in a professional setting.
Yeah, it's turned about. I mean, when I came in the 90s, the default expectation when you met someone from the city, even if they were like a waiter or somebody working in a business, was that they wouldn't be able to speak English. And they wouldn't expect to be able to. So they would just start speaking to you in Spanish or Catalan and expect you to do that, which is fine. That's what it was. And now it's the absolute opposite. Wherever you walk, in any place, any bar, they start speaking to you in English straight away once they hear you speaking.
Yeah, sometimes I think that's great in terms of the business potential and its place in the world for attracting talent. I also miss some of the old, more provincial aspects of Barcelona. I loved when I first got here. I remember parking, or my girlfriend at the time, she parked on Diagonal, double parked, put a little piece of paper on the windshield, and said, "We're going to be at this bar." And I had come from New York. I was like, "This is insane." And here now, if you wait like 3 seconds after the light changes, the whole world is honking at you. But I do remember those times when I was looking for other English speakers, and I had a hard time finding them. That's one of the things that I really liked about Metropolitan. And over the years, I've just seen you guys grow, and having good quality teachers has been a problem for some of the, I guess, students. And I suppose this is why the TEFL certification is so important.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a good thing, I think, because English teaching can have a bad reputation if you've got sort of people who are very inexperienced and all they have is their fluency in the language, or the fact they're a native speaker but can't really do it. Students quickly get fed up and resentful. And I think what we've done, and other schools as well have done, but that's kind of our main thing, is to make sure Barcelona and other places in the world have decently prepared teachers who have a qualification and an understanding of what to do. And that's probably good. Do you remember, I was just thinking when you were talking about, the olden times and parking in the center, do you remember when, I don't know if you remember, in August when everybody left the city?
Oh, it was wonderful.
And so you could drive your car anywhere you liked. You could even park anywhere you liked outside any place. There was no kind of blue zones or parking zones. Absolutely. A lot of places were closed, like only 1 in 10 bars were open or something, but it was fantastic. It was like living in an empty village.
Yeah, my first time to Barcelona as an adult, I came when I was 12, and I don't remember anything, but as an adult, the first time I came was in mid-August.
Yeah.
And so everything was, to me, I didn't have anything to compare it to. But it just was easy to go around the entire city, go to the beaches, you could park anywhere. And then I left before September came. So I was here for 2 weeks. And so I only remember these very idyllic scenes of Barcelona I also remember that I was insanely frustrated with being able to connect over the internet. I used to hear modem dial tones all over the city when I was trying to connect back to my friends in New York. But I want to stay focused on Oxford. So what should people expect with the 25th anniversary or moving forward? What other services are you providing that we should be aware of?
Well, the ones I've listed at the beginning, when we haven't got any new ones, what we're looking at is how, as I say, in this kind of new environment, people value that. So we got, the Spanish teacher training is still kind of new. We've only been doing that for about 2 years now, and that's growing. So that's people learning to be Spanish teachers, because we think Spanish is now becoming, as we mentioned earlier, when everybody's learned English, what do they do next? They learn Spanish. It's kind of standing there at number 2 language in the world at the moment, notwithstanding the number of Chinese speakers, but just for kind of how widely spread it is. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how that develops. English, as I said, is going to go a bit more into content. So we're looking at how we can put content in classes for very high level speakers, actually selling courses which do stuff in English, which may be creative stuff. Yeah. Doing theatre in English.
Oh, wow.
Learning about business and accountancy in English. So something that gives content to high level learners who don't really need a sort of traditional, learn these new words kind of approach.
Okay. And is there a something that you would like the community to know about Oxford House that we haven't shared here?
Well, come and visit us. We're right there in the centre of the city. Come and see the fantastic premises we've got and the garden. It's a beautiful place to study. Meet some of the people there. We will be, as part of the 25th anniversary, we will be organising some open events. So watch out for those. Check out our website for that, or our Facebook, or our Instagram, or I'm going to say TikTok, Victor, but I don't even know if we have TikTok, but we probably do. So look, wherever you look on social media, you should be able to find us. Look for the orange and blue. Look for Oxford House.
And I'd like to do more things with you guys. We at the Metropolitan, we tend to organize 2 or 3 events a month, and we haven't done something with you. I'm sure it's probably we haven't done it since COVID. So I would love to be in a position to do something with you guys and to drive some traffic to you, because you guys have always been good friends of ours.
Certainly we could do that. Especially we can organize an event in the school or somewhere else, and English themed, Spanish themed, bilingual themed, whatever it is.
Now I might be kind of you're testing my memory here, but if I recall, when I met you probably over 10 years ago, you were weren't you in some sort of band?
Yes.
My memory did not fail me. Okay.
I was in a band called the Lucy's. I think Conrad introduced us, maybe.
Conrad Freeman. Yeah.
He was a mutual friend. He was the manager of my band, and that's kind of how that connection happened. Yeah.
So right? do you pull out and start playing at these open events at the Oxford House?
Funnily enough, at the 10th anniversary, which is going back a bit, I did play. We played because some of the guys in our school in Prague also played. We used to play together. But this one, that won't be happening at the 25th. No, it's going to be. No, I mean, my band is a bit more kind of punky, and this is going to be a classy event, Victor. We got champagne, ladies with high-heeled shoes, and waiters and waitresses. So
I think you might have a nice, interesting following of punk people there to celebrate with you. But I get it. Sometimes you got to be corporate, give the civilized look.
Well, it's not kind of corporate. I mean, I think we have a bit of a punk ethic, Oxford TEFL. I mean, as well. We do try and kind of make things real and accessible to people, and give people the punk ethic of you can do it. And I think that applies to learning languages and anything. Here's the tools, go away, do your stuff, be creative, and we got a bit of that. So the two things aren't completely opposed, but I don't think we need the Sex Pistols on Saturday. And the neighbours probably wouldn't want it.
Sex Pistols,
does anybody listening know who the Sex Pistols are?
I know who the Sex Pistols are. 9 Inch. And
don't know if you're listening. I'm not sure who your listeners are, actually, Victor. Well, maybe some of them will, perhaps.
We're all over the place, but I think you guys always blended a nice combination of a bohemian, friendly atmosphere that's open-mindedness to learn, as well as classy, first-rate facilities. So it was a really good.
Can we use that in our copy?
Absolutely. No, and it's genuine. You guys have a really nice set there. Extremely conveniently located right in the center of the city. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time. We have an article coming out about the 25th anniversary. It's very comprehensive. A fantastic job by your team, by the way.
Thank you.
I think they were giving maybe updates of every 2 or 3 years or milestones of what had been achieved.
Yeah, that was Fran's work. Yeah, she did a great job on that.
She did. That was a really good article. So people should be looking out for that. And if there's anything else that I can do, Duncan, don't hesitate. You guys are friends, and we would love to continue supporting you guys. And I look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
Yeah, see you then, Victor.
Okay, I'll be the one with looking for some punk music.
Yes. Maybe we'll get the DJ to play one or two songs at least.
Okay, Duncan.
I'll see you in the mosh pit. All right.
See you in the mosh pit. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.